And of course, health, mentally, physically, emotionally, socially, and financially, was good. To be worth your salt, even the word salary, is how we used to be paid in ancient times because it's so precious. But when it comes down to diet, one of the most brilliant wisdoms that has been lost through time and through the creation of foodless foods is the idea, in the United States, up until about 1930, you couldn't go into a home anywhere in America that there wasn't a clay pot fermenting and brewing something, whether it was sauerkraut, sour cream, yogurts, kefirs, sometimes a homemade beer, a naturally brewed beer or wine. Ferments is one of the most brilliant things, I believe, that everyone on the earth should have in their daily diet. So it's okay to have a beer? Absolutely, if it's a naturally fermented beer. Absolutely. And same with wine, as long as it doesn't have the sulfites and the alkalies and all the crap they're starting to put into there. But I agree with you. I think that in today's world, if a person has about an 80% raw plant-based diet, then go ahead and have 20% of some of the cooked and maybe some of the fish or other things that you're wanting. But then we need to look at desserts, because that's such a huge part of the human experience. And it's interesting how words come to us down through time. There are reversals and apocryphations, and that's how words develop and spell. It's like the word raw, R-A-W, reversed as war. And there was a time when they taught that raw foods, which was the Egyptian word for the sun, brought life and light. And cooked foods created war or chaos in the body. Elbow, in the Hebrew, El is God, Bo means promise, bowel is a reverse of elbow, which meant the promise of the inner kingdom back to you, which was vowel, meaning the tongue of gods and angels, to speak truth, to speak life. And desserts is actually the word stressed, and what it meant was comfort. Desserts used to be offered after the meals. The sups or supper was meant to be a highly liquid meal, never a solid, heavy meal. Because as you eat after the sun goes down, if you eat solid food, it distorts and disturbs sleep, typically. And you don't wake up refreshed because the body's had to metabolize all night long. And so dinner, or to dine, that was the bigger meal. But desserts were a big part of all of these, every meal, breakfast, lunch, dinner. But they were desserts that were actually made from whole foods, brilliant kinds of things. And today, so many desserts are a synthetic, processed kind of dessert. And so I wish that people would go back and discover, if they haven't already, some of the fabulous pies and cakes and different things that you can make that actually are whole food, and they add to you and they don't stress you. They and take the stress away. So with the, just coming back to the pulse, that was dried fruits and nuts, seeds and grains. So was it that meal actually represented the entire construct of the house off nature's table. There's not a single organ or structure of the body that isn't replicated in its pattern out there in whole foods. They just brought all of them together in a single meal based on sacred measurements of one food to the other to match the house. That's what made it so powerful. That's quite sweet, though. It was very. The body loved breast milk is sweet. Beautiful dessert. Sweet, so absolutely. Yeah. I didn't mean to walk on that. Say that again. Yeah, but breast milk is sweet. Yes. Yeah. So the body has an affiliation to sweet things. It likes those. It does. It craves it, and the brain thrives on those sweet things. Yeah. So have you done a cookbook? I'm in the process of putting together a whole food book, but it's a little different than anything that has ever been done, in that it's just going to be photographs and then showed the complete meal, because the best people with food are people that just have a natural thing of measurement and tossing together and putting together. I won't ever do a set recipe of so much of this and so much of that. And,
that suits me.
And so I'm doing a photographic discovery journal for people that I think they're going to enjoy.
I've got, must be hundreds of cookbooks that I've been given and bought because of the pictures. I look at the picture and say, oh, now what's in the fridge, and I make something like that, but I've never been one to measure things. So
beautiful.
Yeah, we've lost that ability. Don, would you like to say anything else before we wrap it up today?
One of the things that I would like to leave is that what if we really in fact are a microcosm of the earth and other things that are out there, like the world is 70% water and we're 70% water, and 10% of that water is fresh, the rest is salty, same with us. If we will just begin to get in touch again with the nature around us and rediscover whole foods, especially plant whole foods, and touch them, and even lift them to our mouths with our hands, and drink water and eat salt, and begin to walk away from the fear of disease, and just go over and embrace on a daily basis principles of health. It's not going to kill anybody or destroy their day to grab a jug of water and maybe an apple and go out for a walk in the fresh air and the sunshine and just take a stroll. If that one thing, if there's anything that I could leave with someone, is to do that and make it a priority over and above everything else in your day. Don't you dare let a day go that you don't nurture and love you by drinking some water and a fresh food while you're walking. It's one of the most soothing, pleasant, healing, nurturing things you can do on a daily basis. And you'll see that in as little as 7 days of doing that, your life changes in a very profound way.
Don, I said this would be the last question, but you're just such a fascinating person. I do have another one.
Oh, thank you.
And it just occurred to me, I saw an amazing thing you did some time ago with your memory. And I know you're doing a seminar coming back in the beginning of November, because I know I booked in to do it on Brain Gym. How did that come about? Is that's what you're teaching?
It is.
How did that come about? Obviously, did you just discover you had an amazing memory, or was that through that 17 years you discovered certain foods enhance brain? So I've got to ask that.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you asking. Yeah, a lot of people have seen me demonstrate this ancient world way of learning. I actually came across it in my search for that sacred meal. These principles of what I call memory at the speed of sight, and of course sight being a homonym, S-I-G-H-T, that which we see, C-I-T-E, that which we say, because we always say to ourselves everything that we see, and that's how we understand what we've seen. And of course sight, S-I-T-E.
So it is okay to talk to yourself.
Giving a location. You have to. And to reflect. This boot camp for brains, which will be in November, we're actually going to invite about 175 Australians to experience a mental infusion of this lost ancient world method and art of science of learning. It's so brilliant. It was just snuffed out in the 300s AD, and the group that did all of that wanted it gone because it taught people how to learn and honor the key of imagination. So that was taken away, and we were handed, literally, what they called the rota of learning in the Latin, and it means wheel of learning. Someone will throw it out, you throw it back, we'll throw it out, you throw it back, we'll throw it out, you throw it back. And when you get good at that, you just throw it out yourself. In other words, chant or repetitious learning. Educational scientists know that we lose close to 70% of everything that we chant learn within 24 hours. That's why all the students who, and we've been doing this for 1700 years, we bring a young kid into the classroom, they already know how to learn. Educational scientists know that a young child has learned close to 90% of everything they'll know in their lifetime by age 5. And yet we bring them in and we try to act like they don't know how to learn, and we're going to teach them how to learn, and we teach them to chant, learn everything. Write down cat 25 times and hand it in. And so they begin this chanting process. That doesn't work for about 20% of the kids. And that 20% are the kids that typically are so creative, so imaginative, so genius, that chant learning is so beneath the level of what they can achieve, but they're the ones that are made to feel diminished.